بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، نحمده على ما كان ونستعينه من أمرنا على ما يكون، ونسأله المعافاة في الأديان كما نسأله المعافاة في الأبدان. ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of here and the hereafter. We praise Him for what has happened to us in the past, and we seek assistance for things to come in the future. We ask Him for protection of our faith and the safety of our bodies. We convey our greeting and salutation to the Holy Prophet of Islam and his pure progenies. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ibadullah, awsikum wa iyai bi taqwallah. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بل نقذف بالحق على الباطل فيدمغه فإذا هو زاهق ولكم الويل مما تصفون. Indeed, we cast truth against falsehood, and it crushes it, and behold, it vanishes, and woe unto you for what you have described. We start with the usual reminder. Please turn off your cell phone and refrain from conversation during the khutbah and the prayer if you can. Yesterday was the beginning of Safar, the day in which Ahlul Bayt historically entered Dimashq or Sham. And today, the 2nd of Safar, they were kept between yesterday and today so that Yazid would organize his palace and decorate it for the arrival of what he called the Khawarij. So today they went in. During the past couple of weeks, we have had a few bad or sad occasions and a couple of good things. The sad occasions is departure of Al-Allama Sheikh Abdul Amir Qabalan and Ayatollah Sayyid Muhammad Sa'id al-Hakim. So let us take the opportunity and recite Surah Al-Fatiha. On a happy note, after 13 months or 14 months of waiting for Lebanon to have some kind of a cabinet, it was pronounced this morning that finally a deal has been reached between competing parties, that everyone secured some kind of haqiba and ministry for themselves. So let's hope to see whether this cabinet will do something that the previous ones didn't. So at least we have some figure of a cabinet. We also, a couple of days ago, 2-3 days ago, a news of 6 Palestinian heroes coming out of the Israeli jail, Jalwa, one of the most secured jails ever that was built by the Irish in Palestinian land. It has dominated the news everywhere. If in the past, before this event happened, everybody was talking about the issue of Kabul, Afghanistan, and so on, this event literally eclipsed everything. Everywhere that you go, from the Western media to the Eastern media, they're all talking about the same thing. How on earth these people were able, with few spoons, or probably a spoon and a fork, and somebody added yesterday, probably with their socks, because they had to put these dirt into the socks and dumped them somewhere. I don't know how many of you remember a Hollywood program or a film that was organized about an escape, similar kind of things, but in much lengthier period, where the hero would put the dirt into his pants and walk around the walking area and gradually releases the dirt in such a way that would not attract the attention of the guards, and only to be found out after he had crossed and came out of the prison. But this is real. That's Hollywood. This is real. I'm waiting, inshallah, for one day when somebody has the courage to turn this into a film. Not one person, not two, 6. And to actually go through and cross over. I mean, now they are trying to reduce the effect of it by saying that the plan for the prison was online and everybody could have access to it. That doesn't change much. And the guard in the tower, she had gone to sleep. Even she admitted it, that I heard some noises going around, but I was too sleepy, so that's it. I didn't do anything about it. This is good news for the Palestinians and for everybody else. Yesterday, I received a call from the community liaison from the FBI that please, as we're getting tomorrow the 9/11, in the light of the crisis that has happened in Afghanistan, please be vigilant. If you see something that is out of context, or a person that you don't recognize them suddenly coming into the center or lingering around the center, please report so that we would keep maximum safety, because anything can happen. The verse that I recited, Surah Anbiya, verse number 18, is among a number of verses and passages in the Holy Quran that unpacks the concept of haqq and batil from an Islamic point of view. Islam, in its own way of looking at the world, considers batil to have no foundation whatsoever. You can prop it up as much as you can. Bani Muawiyah spent 40 years creating themselves as the Ahlul Bayt. But what happened? Ashura, as a matter of norm, in a nutshell, was that confrontation that ultimately, as the verse in the Holy Quran says, smashed falsehood and destroyed it. 2 parts. The first part, it was the role of, starting from Rajab 60 after Hijrah until the return to Medina of year 61 after Hijrah. Up to Ashura is the first phase, and the second phase is where the person in charge will be the Sayeda Zainab salamun alayha. And how that 40 years of image building that Bani Umayyah did was smashed as soon as one confrontation took place between Ahlul Bayt and Yazid. That's in a nutshell. Nobody can deny that Ashura constituted a key moment in the Shia history. Recently, I was looking at a few books about Ashura. Leslie Hazelton, the Jewish author of a book called After the Prophet, the epic story of Shia-Sunni split. Although when it comes to understanding Shia history, she is extremely on an elementary base, but at least she talks about the fact, the foundational point of Ashura and the epical story, that the way it played in the history of Shia-Sunni debate. After Ashura, we can see a change in the strategy of Imams vis-a-vis how to deal with the established order, and as well as the Shia role in it. But the problem that we have is that within telling of this story, the unique person, the unique woman, that after the demise and the martyrdom of Imam Hussein took responsibility of delivering this message to the heart of the enemy, unfortunately, historians have not given her the justice she deserves. If you look at nearly 55 years of a struggle and jihad, what do we have from her biography? You go and look it up. Well, I'm glad that recently we are beginning to see more narratives coming out of talking about Zainab from a revolutionary point of view, rather than from the traditional history. If you look at the traditional history that we have, she was born the third child of Fatima al-Zahra and Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullah salam alayhi. Was born either the 5th or the 6th after Hijrah. Stayed with her grandfather for about 5 years, or little bit less, little bit more. She lost her mother within 2 months of the demise of the Holy Prophet. Stayed with her father for 25 years until Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was martyred. 10 years Imam of Imam Hassan, 10 years Imam of Imam Hussein, and finally the responsibility in Ashura, and we suddenly discover Zainab. She married whom? Abdullah ibn Ja'far, her cousin, they had together 4 boys and 1 girl. Aun, Ali, Abbas, and Muhammad, and a daughter called Kulthum. As to how many of her children were present in Karbala, there is a debate. Certainly, historians say 2, and some people have said more. But Abdullah ibn Ja'far wasn't there to come to Karbala. Why? Historians don't say much about it. So you reduce 55 years of a struggle of Sayeda Zainab salamullah alayha into a short biographical narrative. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And even although she plays a significant role in Ashura uprising, when it comes to presenting Zainab as a major figure in Ashura, they don't give her the right that she deserves. There are 3 sermons that are related, or at least is associated with Sayyidah Zainab salamullah alayha. Number 1, where she is the chain of narration, the only chain of narration. And that is Khutbah al-Fadakiyya, which Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha delivered in Masjid al-Nabi. Even Ibn Abbas, it's remarkable for a child of 5 years old to learn this difficult khutbah by hearing it only once. Fatima al-Zahra didn't repeat the khutbah for Zainab salamullah alayha more than once. She was present, stood by her mother when she recited the khutbah, and came out. Ibn Abbas was in the mosque, and he couldn't remember it properly. And he came to Sayyidah Zainab salamullah alayha and says, "Tell me what happened. Tell me the khutbah." And she began reciting it by heart. That is the chain of narration. Everyone who narrates khutbah Fatima al-Zahra al-Fadakiyya in Masjid al-Nabi either narrated directly from Sayyidah Zainab or from Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas narrates it from Sayyidah Zainab. But when we go to the Ashura incident, there are 2 khutbahs that she delivered. One in the market of Kufa against people of Kufa, and the other one directly in the palace of Yazid against Yazid. The first was a scathing attack against people of Kufa for the dissension and for going back against the promises that they had made to Imam Hussein, and how treacherous their behavior was. The second is the one which requires a thorough analysis that unfortunately we don't have time. When she stands again in front of Yazid and literally by delivering a sermon, 40 years of propping up falsehood disappears. What is unfortunate that even when it comes to the presentation of Sayyidah Zainab salamullah alayha during Ashura, what do we hear normally? Being weak with grief, choked with tears, unable to control herself. This is why she banged her head against the mahmal, which I believe it to be a fabrication. Tearing her clothes and her hair. This is the image we give of Zahra, Sayeda Zainab sallallahu alayhi. Not only we don't discharge our responsibility in giving her credit for 55 years of struggle, of giving her the correct history, when we come to Ashura, we present her as a marginal figure that really didn't play much before. This is something that is good for occasional khutbah to ask people for crying and so on, but does not reflect the true character of Sayyidah Zainab sallallahu alayhi. Now, what is unique about these two khutbahs, she is inspired by Surah At-Tawbah. Those of you who are familiar with Surah At-Tawbah, Surah At-Tawbah is the only surah in the Holy Quran that doesn't have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Correct? Bara'atun min Allah wa Rasulih. Why? Everyone who asks says that Surah At-Tawbah is talking about something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to speak to people, that there is no mercy. Bara'atun min Allah wa Rasulih. You don't start the context of Bara'a with a Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Sayyidah Zainab uses the same concept in khutbah of Kufa and in khutbah of in front of Yazid. No Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In both cases, Alhamdulillah wa salatu ala Rasulih. That's the beginning of it. And then in Kufa, Amma ba'd, Ya Ahl al-Kufa, Ya Ahl al-Khatl wal-Ghadr wal-Khadl wal-Makr. The most treacherous, the hypocrites, the unreliable people that one could imagine. You are crying for my brother after what you have done? Atabkuna akhi, ajal wallah, fabku fa innakum ahra bil buka. Keep crying. Why? Because you deserve it. Do you know what you have done? The ar and the shame will be recorded in history and nothing will wash it for eternity. This is what stunned people of Kufa. Suddenly they realized what they have done. Those who participated in the battle against Imam Hussein and those who stood back and watched. This is why I said a couple of weeks ago, as we repeat in our majalis, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum fanafuza fawzan azima. If for the sake of call it impossible, but miraculously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns us back to that day. Which one? Which camp are we going to stand on? Ahl Sham, that were totally devoid and really cared less. Ahl al-Madinah, that forgot their responsibility only to realize a year or so later, once they paid the price. Ahl al-Kufa, that they sent a letter and then went against it. But then we go to Sham. Like today, they stood in front of Yazid, and Yazid has now pompously sitting on the arsh and the seat of power, and presenting himself not only as the only member of Ahlul Bayt, the one with authority and power. What did Sayyidah Zainab say? Once she saw what he has done, a lengthy khutbah again starts without Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu ala Rasulih. فَمَهْلًا مَهْلًا, directly against Yazid. أنسيت قول الله تبارك وتعالى ولا تحسبن الذين كفروا إنما نملي لهم خير لأنفسهم إنما نملي لهم ليزدادوا إثما ولهم عذاب مهين. Hold your horses, Yazid. You think you are sitting on a seat of power, you own the world? Haven't you heard the verses, this verse in the Holy Quran, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you, and when you are disobeying Allah, grant you all the space, grant you all the privileges, it's not because you are a good person. Allah is allowing you more time to dig your own grave and sink. That one confrontation destroyed completely 40 years of image. Do you think that you have taken us from one place to another while you are holding your own wives and women behind the curtain, and the wives and women of the Holy Prophet, you bring them and take them from one place to another? This is something that you should be proud of? Far from it. For us, we know where we stand. What is your answer when you stand up on the day of judgment and the Holy Prophet asks you, why did you do this? Immediately he calls for adhan to disrupt the khutbah so that the khutbah would not provoke. We have heard from his father doing Salatul Jum'ah Yawm al-Arba'ah. Now we hear from the son doing adhan in the middle of the day before even Dhuhr or Asr or anything else. Imam Zain al-Abidin waited for this, and as soon as the mu'adhin said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Imam came back to him. Ya Yazid, this Muhammad which is being called on the adhan, is it my grandfather or your grandfather? If it is your grandfather, you are a liar. And if it is my grandfather, why are we held in chain in this situation? Now we go back to the verse that I recited earlier. Haqq comes, smashes batil. No matter how much time we spend propping up batil, 40 years of Bani Umayyah's work, totally destroyed. These khutbahs really deserve, we spend much time on it so that we understand. In the same manner that khutbah al-Fadakiyah, we need to understand the philosophical foundation of Islam is in khutbah al-Fadakiyah. Inshallah, if we are still alive in 2 weeks from now, I will continue with it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let us all pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the privilege of having a true ma'rifah of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نحمده ونشكره على آلائه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه من سيئات أعمالنا. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلقه وأعظم بريته سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين. أخواتي وإخواني الأعزاء، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. عباد الله، أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله. قال الإمام السجاد عليه الصلاة والسلام لعمته زينب عليه السلام: يا عمتاه، أنت بحمد الله عالمة غير معلمة وفهمة غير مفهمة. شكلت عاشوراء منعطفاً مهماً ومفصلياً في التاريخ الإسلامي بكل ما حملته من أبعاد وأهداف. فاستشهاد الحسين عليه الصلاة والسلام لم يكن حدثاً عادياً ينطوي مع الزمن، بل كان الحدث الذي فرض معادلات جديدة في كيفية المواجهة مع الباطل، وأرسى أسساً مهمة وخالدة في عدم السكوت عن الفساد والظلم والحكم الجائر. والأهم من ذلك أن ثورته هدفت إلى حماية الإسلام من التسوية والانحراف، لقد تحول الحسين إلى رمز لكل ثائر في العالم ولكل من يريد أن يشق طريقه نحو الحرية وأن يعيش إنسانيته بعيداً عن كل حيف وظلم. ومن هنا أيضاً يمكننا فهم الدور الكبير الذي طلعت به زينب سلام الله عليها بشكل خاص كقائدة لهذا الجزء الخطير من مهمة استكمال الثورة، حتى ليمكن الاستناد إلى القول بأنه لولا زينب لما وصلت عاشوراء إلينا. لا بد لنا أن نتعمق في شخصية السيدة زينب من خلال دلالات كلماتها ومواقفها وعناصر شخصيتها الروحية والإنسانية. فتعالوا نستعرض حركة زينب منذ المدينة حتى الشام وإلى الرجوع إلى المدينة. فكيف هي زينب؟ لأننا نحتاج أن نجعل من زينب البطلة الرسالية القوية المصارعة المجاهدة قدوة لكل شخص وكل امرأة، حتى تشعر المرأة بالشرعية في ساحة الصراع السياسية حركة وجهادا وتحديا. في البداية ينقل تاريخ السيرة الحسينية أن ابن عباس جاء إلى الإمام الحسين عليه السلام ليقترح عليه أن لا يخرج النساء معه، فاندفعت زينب لابن عباس بكل قوة وقالت كما قيل: يا ابن عباس، تشير على شيخنا وسيدنا أن يخلفنا ها هنا ويمضي وحده؟ لا والله، بل نحيا معه ونموت معه، وهل أبقى الزمان لنا غيره؟ هذه زينب التي تمردت على كل عناصر الذات في حب الراحة مع الزوج ومع الأولاد لتنطلق في خط الجهاد ولو بطريقة أخرى. وفي مواقفها في كربلاء بعد مقتل الإمام الحسين عندما خرجت إلى مصرعه بكامل حشمتها ووقارها ووضعت يديها تحت الجسد الطاهر ورفعته قليلا نحو السماء وهي تقول كما تروى الأحاديث: اللهم تقبل منا هذا القليل من القربان. السؤال المهم: هل هذه الشخصية امرأة يهزمها الحزن؟ وهل هذا هو كلام امرأة يسقطها الألم؟ وتأمل في وقفتها الأبية عندما خطبت خطبتها التي قرعت بها أهل الكوفة الذين كانت قلوبهم مع الحسين وسيوفهم عليه، والتي استطاعت أن تعرفهم من خلال مواقفهم كيف يعيشون الحقارة النفسية أمام ما قاموا به. أنا لا أفهم ما يقول بعض الخطباء من أنه نطحت جبينها بمقدم المحمل، لأن زينب كانت لا تقبل أن يشمت بها الشامتون، وكانت لا تقبل أن تسيل منها دمعة، لا لأنها لم تعش من على عمق الحزن، ولكن لأنها كانت تريد أن تقدم صورة للذين يعيشون حركة الشهادة في سبيل الله، الذين لا يمكن أن يضعفوا ولا يمكن أن يظهروا بمظهر الضعفاء أمام الذين تسببوا هذه المأساة. وفي الكوفة في مجلس ابن زياد لما عرفها ابن زياد قال لها شامة: كيف رأيت صنع الله بأخيك وأهل بيتك؟ فبماذا أجابته؟ والله ما رأيت إلا جميلا. وفي نهاية المطاف السيدة زينب تعطي نفس الانطباع في مجلس يزيد الخليفة الرسمي آنذاك. إنها أرادت أن تهدم نفسية يزيد، وأن تحقره عند نفسه وعند من حوله، وأن تضعف كل عنفوانه بأن تعتبره كمية مهملة لا قيمة لها. الكلام هي بدأت إنه مثلي لو كنا في حالة عادية، مثلي ما يحكي مع ناس مثلك، أنت مو نفس المستوى، ولا تستطيع أن تحقق شيئا. فماذا قالت؟ فكد كيدك، استخرج ما عندك من الكيد ومن التآمر من الحيل وافعل ما تشاء، واسعى سعيك، وخطط ما تشاء وناصب جهدك، حاول أن تحرك جهدك في كل سبيل، فوالله لا تمحو ذكرنا ولا تميت وحينا. نحن باقون في الشهادة الثانية، أشهد أن محمد رسول الله، نحن أبناؤه، إذا ذكر ذكرنا وما دمنا سائرين في خطه. ولذا المقاومة الإسلامية لما راحوا على دمشق، لما الآيسيس والداعش رادوا يدمرون مقام سيدة زينب العلم، فوالله لا تمحو ذكرنا. فلقد كانت زينب بطلة كربلاء في الوعي والروح وفي الإيمان وفي الموقف وفي التحدي وفي رد التحدي. وعندما رجعت إلى المدينة تحركت لا بالبكاء، وانفتحت وعبأت الناس، حتى كتب والي المدينة إلى يزيد: إذا كان لك شغل في المدينة فاخرج زينب بنت علي منها. احنا هاي الأشياء ما نحكي عنها بالمجالس، لأن زينب كانت رمز الثورة، وكانت قوة المعارضة، وكانت الإنسانة التي أكملت ثورة الحسين في الموقف وفي الكلمة وفي التحدي الكبير. الإنسانة التي أكملت ثورة الحسين، فأي كلام بحق زينب يظهرها بمظهر الضعيفة الذليلة التي لا حول لها ولا قوة هو كلام مجانب للحقيقة والواقع، إضافة إلى أنه ينتقص من هذه الشخصية المحورية البطلة الشجاعة التي قادت المسيرة بعد استشهاد أخيها على أكمل وجه، وأوصلت أهداف الثورة إلى بر الأمان، حتى كانت بحق شريكة الحسين في الثورة وفي صنع الانتصار. نسأل الله أن يجعلنا وإياكم من الذين تعمقوا في حياة العقيلة زينب سلام الله عليها وتعلموا من سيرتها إن شاء الله. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد كأفضل ما صليت على أحد من خلقك، وسلم على علي أمير المؤمنين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه إمام المتقين، وصلى على فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، وصلى على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي الشباب أهل الجنة، وصلى على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.